Hey, paisans, the time has come. On the air since 2009, the independently produced, non-FCC compliant champ of video game talk podcasting. Here comes Tiger Claw Radio. Here's your host, Critical Failure.
Yes, friends, it's that time again. It's time for Tiger Claw Radio. I'm your host, Critical Failure. We're going to listen to some chip tunes. We're going to talk about some games. This week, we're going to talk about the final death and closure of romhacking.net. Big thanks to Hamrock for sharing this story that was completely flying under the radar for me. I gave the Doom plus Doom 2 remake a try, and I really liked it. Finally beat Half-Life, and Pice, P-I-C-E, the Swedish chiptune artist, released a new album. So we're going to listen to some tracks off that. All that and more coming up on Tiger Claw Radio. That is the second track off of the album Seasons, entitled Spring. Now, the Seasons album contains 6 tracks, and they are aptly named Snow, Spring, Summer, Autumn, Spring 2021, Summer 2023. Good stuff. So Pice, if you're not familiar, that's an artist that I ran into on Reddit, I think. Gosh, probably like 5 years ago now or so. And he was, hawking his music, his Bandcamp music, like most artists do at some point. And I was like, hey man, put all your stuff into sell your Bandcamp stuff in a collection, right? So that you can, I'll drop a few bucks in the hat so that, and then just let me get the whole collection. He was like, okay. And so I did that. He put it up and I bought it, and then I think it went away, only because in order to sell your entire collection in a single package, there has to be at least one song that costs money. I think he made everything free. So I have revisited his, because he did that, and because like his albums now appear in my Bandcamp streaming. He's an artist that I've revisited several times over the years. So it's cool to have his music on the show. That's Pice, P-I-C-E. Okay, so let's see what we have lined up for today. We've got a couple of segments that I recorded earlier in the week. We've got a couple of honest-to-goodness van casting. And then we got some stuff from Hemrock and some comments and whatnot. This is a full swing TCR, and I gotta say it feels good. So let's kick things off by going to the van. And here we are, boys and girls. We are back at it again. I'm van casting. It is Thursday morning at 9:54 a.m. What's the temperature outside? 76 degrees. My goodness, it's a nice day. Nicest day we've had in quite a bit here in Southern Maryland. And I am off to work. I work from home, but today I have to go into the office to handle some business, which is a rarity for me. But sun is out. We're having a good day. It's a good time. So I got a chance to play some games yesterday. Played Doom. It's been all about Doom. And I don't want to stress it too much because I know I talked about it in a previous segment, but a couple years back I had an interest in Doom mapping. And I didn't really get very far. I downloaded Doom Builder 2, which is that's the program you get if you want to build Doom maps. You plug in the WAD file and you're good to go. And I learned some things. And I made a map that wasn't great, right? There's certain truths to building Doom maps, and there's documents you can find, but one of them is whenever you make that first map, don't upload it to the internet. At least don't upload it to the mass audience. If you're a Doom player and you're out there cruising for mods and you find something that says my first map, chances are it's not going to be good. You want to make that first map, you want to maybe upload it to a Discord so other map makers can look at it and go, oh yeah, but see, this is one thing you got to do is avoid making 90-degree walls because they don't look great, which is a real tip. Oh, this looks good, but you want to make sure that anytime you change the floor texture, when the texture changes, there's a slight change in the altitude. You don't want two identical sectors to have different textures. Another real tip. Things like that, and you pick up on them and you get better, and that's when you start releasing maps. So I made a couple versions of, quote unquote, my first map. That's as far as I got. Well, I got really into, the Doom remaster, so I re-downloaded Doom Builder 2. I messed with it a little bit this morning, and it's been a good time. Making Doom maps was definitely like a thing of my generation. And I don't know if this was on the Discord or if this was a message to me directly, but Tired Link over on the Discord picked up a box copy of, what was it? It's a CD-ROM that had a bunch of Doom maps and stuff on it. It's like 3D Alchemy in Doom and Heretic or something like that. I don't know. You get one of those old CD-ROMs and it's full of WAD files and none of them are very good. And you look at them now and you're like, why did they sell this? Another good example is D-Zone, which is one I actually have. The 100 maps for Doom and Doom 2. And the reality is, those came out in 96 and 97 when, not everybody had the internet at home. So, and I was in this camp during those days. You had a computer at home and you had maybe a copy of Doom set up. And you would hear about all these wonderful maps that people were making and this community that was starting to form around Doom and Doom 2, but you couldn't touch it because of the way the internet was that day. Maybe you didn't have internet at home yet. So you could go out and buy one of these CD-ROMs, and it would have essentially what it offered is a little taste of that community. Usually they'd come with some sort of Doom building tool where you could edit maps, and then a bunch of weird maps you can play. And they're not much to mess with now. They really aren't. But in those days, they had something to offer. There was a reason to buy those. So, Tired Link, one of the Discord users, picked up an old one and was like, hey, I've acquired a thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about Doom maps. Yeah. So that's been pretty cool. I have been enjoying that. My oldest son has been playing Super Pig X, a little platforming game by the guy who made McPixel, which is, I'm surprised he's getting into it as much as he has, but that's a guy who likes his platformers. we wore through a USB controller, like a generic Xbox 360 controller that we had for PC. We wore through it all the way and just got a new one. Hang on a second, I'm gonna grab some brekkie. Well, I got brekkie, so I'm gonna jump off here. I wanted to get into more than just Doom mapping, but you know, it's what it is. I'll see you guys back in the studio. All right, on my way back from the office now. I'm gonna keep this one really brief, but I was in a lobby looking at my phone, and it looks like Grey Dog Software put out a new version of Total Extreme Wrestling. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it's Total Extreme Wrestling 21 or 11. I don't know. If you've never played Total Extreme Wrestling, it's a wrestling booking simulator. It's not the same as like a WWE kind of thing. Not a fighting game. Booking simulator. I think I have a couple of the older games, 2010 and 2014, and the older games are on Steam, but the ones that I played are some of the best wrestling games I've ever enjoyed. They come preloaded, with several like fictional companies with a bunch of fictional wrestlers, and the wrestlers are all given these really ugly sort of renders for faces, so you don't think much of it at first, but they give you the option to build everything from scratch. You can build a new company and then upload a JPEG for a logo, create all the wrestlers using JPEGs or whatever. So it's a very simple matter to just pop on over to the Grey Dog Software website and get a mod that uses all real wrestlers with all real photographs and all real companies and everything else. And then there's a lot of people who have fun with it, where like a bunch of companies have made up of video game characters and every other garbage and weird stuff. I loved that game, man. I had a save file going of like 5 or 6 different competing wrestling companies. Again, all with like garbage. This is pretty much the same way I would play the game Safe House Diaries. I would be like, and our wrestlers are cup of coffee, a ham sandwich, things like that. I had a really good time with that game. So the last one that came out was, I think, 5 years ago now or more. So I'm interested when I get home to see what this new game has to offer. I don't know if this is a criticism or not, but they've put out a bunch of these games by now in a series, and each iteration adds just a couple of things. So I have to figure out, I have to make a decision if I think it's worth picking up this latest one or not. This is $35, which is not, it's a small company, it's their flagship title, it's been like half a decade since the last one came out. I think $35 is acceptable, but I have to look into it and see exactly what this new game offers. So there you go. So I will check back. I'll take a look at that and check back with you. For now, let's head back to the studio. Okay, we're going to test to see if I can talk here without it picking up the desktop audio. Yeah, okay, that seems to work. So I spent some time with Doom plus Doom 2, which is the latest remake. Bethesda remade the original Doom games again. I talked about it last week a little bit. They took Doom 1 and they took Doom 2, and they mashed them into one game called Doom 1 plus Doom 2. Doom 2 has been removed from the Steam library, which they did a really good job with this package, but it just seems like, I don't know. If you've never played Doom before, now you can get them both in a single software package for $10, which is kind of cool. And I'm looking at the stuff that's included. Doom 2, master levels for Doom 2, Evolution and the Plutonia Experiment were the final Doom games. No Rest for the Living, Sigil, and Legacy of Rust. Legacy of Rust says for a release date is August 8th, 2024. Brand new. So what does it say here? All right. Created in collaboration with ID Software, Night Dive Studios, and Machine Games, Legacy of Rust is the newest episode for Doom and the first official episode since Doom 2 to feature new demons and weapons. Vasago's Rest, the ancient inscriptions called it, with the meaning of the name being Lost Time. It wasn't long before the interlopers began calling the land by another New Eden. Just like the Garden of Old, mankind's exile is newly settled. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, so new official episode with new creatures and stuff. Oh, shoot, hold on, I pressed the wrong thing. Change game. I'll have to check them out. I've been very interested in some of the stuff that wasn't included. One thing that I've been playing in particular, master levels for Doom 2. So, if you've never played master levels for Doom 2, this was something that was at one time listed as available on Steam, and then it was, before it was delisted, it was made so that you could only get it in like the complete pack for Doom. Oops, sorry. And then after that, you could only, and then it was delisted completely, and you could play it in like the Doom 2 remaster or whatever. But what makes this thing special is they chained all the maps together in a continuous episode. That's not the way it was. Master Levels for Doom 2 was like a WAD pack. It was a series of, I guess it says 21 here, but 21 different maps that you would play from a launcher separately. And each one was like the first level of Doom 2 redesigned. You know, if you played custom WADs in those days, the most popular way to make a custom WAD was make something that remade the first level of whatever game. And then once you beat that level, Doom just reverted back to the original game. That's the way it was done. So in this case, they've chained them all together, which is kind of cool because they're very difficult levels, but I don't have to do each one with a pistol start, which I thoroughly appreciate. So I'm about 6 levels in, and that's been pretty fun. So I don't know. I'm playing Doom again, so because of that, I have to say, I gotta say it seems okay. In addition to these, what else do we have? Hold on. It wants me to pick something. Great. That's too loud. I'm just looking at the things that has single player, multiplayer, mods. There's a mods button. And if you open up the mods menu and you press featured mods, well, I have all the included mods for the that the previous remake had. For example, Double Impact. Double Impact was one that I played all the way through, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Not like super out of this world different. I'm not talking about a total conversion, but it was, you know, decent maps, decent level design. So that's pretty cool. So what happens if I do browse? Filter. It looks like we're given something a bit more akin to like Mario Maker, where I actually have an upload button, and I can browse through mods that aren't getting played a ton. And I haven't messed with this feature a lot, but it looks really, really cool. I gotta say, it's playing the Doom remaster, and then the Doom remasters that came before that, just a couple of years ago. It seems like they really handled those with kid gloves, and they did the best they could to make them maintain everything that made Doom awesome. Because I can still revert back to the DOS version. I can still install my own source port and play that, and it'll keep track of my time. And that means that I can still play any non-supported Doom mod you can think of, which includes GZ Doom and Invasion mode and all that crazy stuff that we used to play, back in the Skull Tag era. All that's still supported. So if you own it, it just shows up in your collection now. So pretty cool, I must say. They did. I'm surprised that they did a really good job. There's a multiplayer option, so I'm going to take a quick peek and see what that's like. Hang on. Well, I got involved in a 9-player co-op match for Doom 2, and I'm having a ball. So I think that's going to be it for this segment. All right, we're just about at the 20-minute mark. This is the time where I like to remind everyone that it's a Patreon-sponsored program. And as sort of an old tradition, I like to read the names of the Patreon's supporters off in sort of a hall of distinguished gentlemen. And they are Darabka, Tecmo Balls, and Sendu, that is of EmeraldRangers.com. So thank you guys so much, and I appreciate you supporting and keeping things going. Well, it's happened. I finally beat Half-Life after a lot of years and a lot of playthrough attempts, including one pretty serious playthrough attempt on the PS2 back in like the early 2000s, and I still have that copy floating around. So it feels good to finally put that game to rest. It's clocking in at 15.5 hours. I have right-clicked and added to collection finished, and I'm going to uninstall, and I had enough of that game. I gotta say, there are a few places in the original Half-Life that are incredibly unfun, and in my opinion, seriously game-breaking, especially towards the end. The boss at the end is just a total baffling experience. The way it works is he can shoot beams at you that will teleport you to a sub-challenge area. So it's not like you can just throw God mode on and just wail away on that guy. You have to... there's 3 jump pads, and you have to use the jump pads to go way high up in the sky and shoot at the top of his head, which is a fine gimmick, except only one of the 3 jump pads is actually strong enough to get you up to the top, and it looks the same as the other 2. There's a lot of areas towards the end where the enemies will continuously spawn in, and your ammo does not. So it's not like Doom where you kill, a zombie soldier and he drops a certain amount of ammo. So as long as you're, ripping and tearing, you're still, making progress and getting resources. Half-Life isn't like that. They keep spawning in, and you can take them out to some degree, but eventually you're going to run out of supplies, and I think that was not great game design, in my opinion. The first 75% of the game was incredible. I really enjoyed most of it. I would say if you're interested in playing through Half-Life, give it a shot, but just remember, once you make it into Zen, the world where the aliens, the alien world, press tilde to open the console, SV_cheats space 1 to set that flag to 1 instead of 0, and then GOD to turn on God mode. Just do that for the last hour of the game, and you'll be all set. Man, I'm so glad to have that finally behind me. There's a soundbite towards the end. I'm going to spoil the end of Half-Life if you've never played it. At the very end, there is the G-Man finally shows up, and he says, yeah, you can jump into the portal and work for us, or you cannot, and we'll send you to die. And it gives the player control. And while you're waiting, before you make your decision, he goes, "It's time to choose." And that soundbite was used in Trouble in Terrorist Town in particular. They would use that soundbite every time a match came to an end. Everybody in game would have the chance to vote on the next map. So it's the first time I've seen the ending, but I've heard that soundbite a million billion times. So it's always kind of fun to find the source of a soundbite you've heard a whole bunch of times. I just took a quick check on the internet to see if I could get a WAV file of "It's time to choose." And I came up empty and quickly lost interest. I will say this. When I beat Blue Shift, I was like, oh man, I'm feeling it. I want to dig deeper. And I was expecting to play through Opposing Forces again after this. I don't feel that anymore. So I think I can say with 100% certainty that the 2 official expansion packs for Half-Life are more balanced and fair, I would say, than the original game. I'm not saying they're better, because the original game definitely had its moments that were really awesome. Where they use the environment to do cool things, and that sort of stuff. The storytelling that they did, the storytelling without words in Half-Life is a rare specimen indeed. But gameplay-wise, play the expansions if you haven't. Let's go back to the Pice album for a second. This is Spring 2021. All right, boys and girls, let's do some failbag stuff now. We got a couple. The big one is from Hemrock, and he brings upon the whole situation with romhacking.net, and I think that's something I'm going to dwell on for a bit. So before we get into that, let's head over to emeraldrangers.com. Emerald Rangers. And see what we have here. Since last week's episode was released, Cameron 1391 made an article saying John Cena breaks silence over shelved Coyote versus Acme film. I would have liked to have seen it given a chance. Okay. I do like John Cena. The film sounds like a disaster, but John Cena's okay. All right, we got one from Death Adder. Always a pleasure, man. Welcome back. The current Xbox 360 I'm using, I got from some free Facebook group or something, or rather, it's one of the non-exploding ones. I still enjoy it. I tried using the 360 store towards the end, but it was pretty abandoned and broken looking, so I didn't grab anything. That 7th generation console gaming was the last full generation that didn't suck. Kind of like how the 90s was the last full decade that didn't suck, so it should be respected. Rest easy, Xbox 360, you are a good soldier. Lowers Xbox flag at half-mast. I'm still an Xbox fan, but that Phil Spencer character might have killed the entire brand. What a silly goofball. Lol. I've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves lately, and it's kind of fun and also kind of terrible, such as many cases. I think that's all I've got. Oh, and I'm having tacos for dinner. Tacos roll. Well, see ya. Death Adder, man, it's always good to hear from you. So let's talk about Sea of Thieves for a minute. If I remember right, that's a game that you were playing like a good while ago, like several years ago. And I seem to remember that being one of these things where, it's being worked on and it'll be updated and there'll be more content and that'll make it better. Was that the case? Did it ever get that? I know it was released on Steam. Let me look it up on Steam real quick. Because, of course, I have Steam open. Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves 2024 edition, and it's $24. You like that? Well, because it's on sale. It's usually $40. Oh man, people seem to like it. I wonder if it's cross-platform. Sea of Dweebs. Enjoy your scurvy, idiots. Let's see. Here's another curator. Says F2P economy, free-to-play economy in the 40 to 60 euros game. Politics injected, currently infested with cheaters, rampant griefing, broken hit registration, toxic community, and critical bugs still in 2024. Devs abuse YouTube DMCA. Oh, okay. So that's going to be a passeroonie for me. But that's cool, man. I do like boats and swashbuckling, and I hope that there's a better game that does it. So, yeah. All right, let's jump over to the Discord. And if you're not part of the Discord, I would encourage you to join. I do enjoy hanging out there and posting stuff. And it's a good way to stay on top of the weird time delay. Working with Emerald Rangers and all that stuff. So let's see. Hemrock writes, "Hey broskies, it's good to have CF back. There's one major retro gaming issue that I want to bring to the forefront, as it wasn't mentioned on TCR. You probably heard a rumor that ROM hacking," he writes romhacking.com here, but I think he's talking about romhacking.net. Romhacking.net, we'll say, is shutting down. At first I thought it was a bit overdramatic because I was still able to browse and download at will after the official announcement. However, I'm hearing that you'll no longer be able to download from the website starting the 20th of August. By the way, that's tomorrow from the time this is being recorded. This might be just a rumor, but it may have a kernel of truth. Wait, just in, there was a recent post at romhacking.net in the last 2 hours that says the downloads will remain online, so take that for what you will. Nevertheless, if you want something off that site, for sure, it's time to download. The time to download it is in the immediate future. Granted, the founder of the site has backed up all the files on archive.org, but it may be much easier now to browse the website while it's still intact. Plus, the archive.org download is 11.7 gigabytes. I don't know if you're... I don't know where to start. You might want to peruse the ROM hack lists started on Reddit, and he lists a bunch of links. If you want to see the links that he listed, they're over on the Discord. So let's talk about romhacking.net. From what I understand, the site is there, but it's not. Nothing's been uploaded. Nothing can be uploaded now, and its future is uncertain and not looking good. So, romhacking.net at this point, it's more than just like alternate versions of Metroid. There are a lot of tools that you can download there that make ROM hacking easy to, baby easy. Did you know that I have my own version of the original Super Mario Brothers with remixed levels and some changed text and some silliness? Is it good? No, it's really not. But I went to romhacking.net and I got a couple of tools and I tried them out, and I found a tool that was halfway decent for level editing. And I just started remixing the original Super Mario Brothers. I always hated the stage 4-1, where the first stage where they introduced Latuku and the spiny, whatever they are, the spinies. So I just made that a water level, and it remains the same, but now you can swim through it. And as with a lot of old Super Mario Brother hacks, the first handful of levels are all completely redone, and then there's a lot of the same stuff. The final castle with the paths that you have to take is all removed, and it ends up just being a short castle with a Bowser battle. I also removed every single Hammer Brother in the entire game because I thought they were terrible. Again, is my hack good? No, it is not. But the point I'm making is I was able to go to romhacking.net. I was able to get this tool, learn it very, very quickly, and build something of my own. And I think that ability, amongst other things, is going to be a great, great loss. You also might remember that I went and got the Zelda randomizer not a big feat to come up with a a copy of the Zelda randomizer. But I got the Zelda randomizer. I randomized Zelda and produced a ROM that had maps and stuff with it. And I uploaded that to the Discord. That's still there if you want to jump over to the... it's under the files channel. And I was like, hey, man, let's all play the same version of Zelda randomizer, and we'll just see how it goes. And I really enjoyed playing it. It was hard as nuts because Zelda has a thing where... the harder enemies on the world map are kind of placed towards the outskirts, so you'll walk into an area and there will be like the centaur guys, and you'll know, oh well, I can't really beat these guys with the original sword, and you sort of come back later. That is all like the centaurs are everywhere, and you definitely have the starter sword, so it becomes like soul crushingly difficult to get around, especially early in the game. However, they changed the blue candle, right? So you could search for the the hidden doorways a lot easier. So there were things to like about it. I played it some, and I beat the first dungeon, which took forever to find. And I think Hemrock played it as well. He let's see, what was the deal, Hemrock? I think he was like, this is too unbalanced. I got to use save states, and I was like, sure, man. And I'm flipping through, and I'm pretty sure that's still available to download. Is it not? Wow, I got to dig that up and fix that. I'm looking at the files channel. Mario Paint Composer is there, War Daddy's there, Not Tetris, EnviroBear, 30 Flights of Loathing, Windboard, Sexy Hiking, Dice, Angband, Pixie Tracker, Doom Roguelike, NetHack. Yeah, there it is. The Legend of Zelda TCR edition, a randomized version of Legend of Zelda produced special so that we can all give it a try together and compare notes. That was released on May 20th, 2023, last year. And I released it's there. The IPS file is there to try and make things as legal as possible. And that's another thing that we'll be losing if RPG Maker if romhacking.net goes down, is all the patching tools, right? Because the patching tools are a big part of sidestepping the legality issues. I can't distribute a copy of the original Legend of Zelda. That's illegal. But you know what's not illegal? Distributing a patch that you can apply to your copy of Legend of Zelda that you got elsewhere. And there you go. You could use my patch on the hardware, if I understand things right. If you have a Retron 5, I'm pretty sure from what Hemrock tells me, you can apply patches directly to the cartridge. So... the utilities to generate those patches as well as use them are going to be, just a half step more difficult if that site goes down. So today being the 19th, I'm going to make sure and get on there and download not so much games. I'm not so worried about the ROMs themselves as the utilities. I'm going to get as many utilities as possible, and I'm going to make an archive. My goal is to get all the level editors I can find, as well as the patching tools. And then we'll just have to hold tight and see what we can do. I'm pretty sure at this point, the big games mostly have their own cultural hubs now, like Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario Brothers, the entire Mario Brothers series. Those games have their own websites for their ROM hacking people. Right, so if you're making a Super Mario Brothers ROM hack, you don't want to release it on romhacking.net. Although, I guess, but you would rather go to whatever their hacking cultural hub is, because the other people who make hacks would be like, oh, there's something. Let's give that a try and see if it's any good. So my hat is off to romhacking.net and all the years of service that because it's been around a long time, man. And to be honest, I don't think I used it as much as I should have, because in a lot of cases, the patching when I was younger and dumber was very difficult for me. Even though when I say difficult, you got to understand the patching process is easy. It's very easy. You download the patch for Mario Brothers 3. and you have the ROM, and then the patcher is just a program that asks for both files and then spits out a new file with it applied. That's it. If you had the emulator NES-topia, you could run patches without having to patch them. Just open up the game and then open up the patch, and then there you go. You could play it. It was very easy, but I would somehow find a way to make it difficult anyway. Like, I would be curious, okay, do I have the right version of the game? And maybe there'd be some issue with the patch. It'd be really demoralizing. I think the last time that happened was Wizardry 5, an old favorite of mine, heavily censored in the West. There was a patch that claimed to have uncensored a lot of the things, and I could not get it. I guarantee you I had the right ROM, and I just couldn't get it to work. I was like, and that kind of thing happened a lot. So I think because of that, I missed out on a lot of good, solid romhacking.net fun. And I hope the dried up carcass stays around for a long time. And in the meantime, I'm not sure what the best way to find out about new ROM hacks is. I'm honestly not sure. Maybe I'll have to see if IRC is still around. You guys remember IRC? I've had the itch to try an old IRC client. I know Merc isn't free anymore, but I don't know. That might be fun. So that's TCR for the week. Big thanks to Hemrock for that email. Big thanks to Death Adder for checking in over at emeraldrangers.com. Big thanks to emeraldrangers.com for hosting us. And thank you guys for spending any of your time talking about video games, listening to some chiptunes, because time, as they say, and I wholeheartedly believe this, that it is the most valuable currency. So thanks for spending some here. And whatever it is you got going on in your lives as you turn this off and move forward, I hope it goes well for you. Take care. I'll see you next week.